Okay, at 7 o'clock, I'll call the Village New Glarus Board meeting to order. Please silence your cell phones during the meeting. For approval of the agenda. So, motion and second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item 3, public appearances and citizens' comments. There's no one here from the public, so we'll move on to approval of the consent agenda.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. We have a motion and second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. New business, item 8. Consideration, discussion, application for natural lawn management plan permits for 37 Second Street. I guess Chelsea's gonna take this one.
Well, folks, we are part of history because I'm fairly certain that this is the first ever application for natural lawn management plan in the village. Natalie Olander, who I believe is joining us via Zoom too, is the applicant. She lives at 37 Second Street, so right up here on the edge of town, kind of going towards O. She submitted this application and we had our weed commissioner, Mike Davis, review it as well. Mike gave some edits, deletions, additions to her management plan. I discovered through research and talking to many different people, Natalie and Mike, that natural lawn management is very involved. There's a lot to do if you're going to do it correctly. So you can see with Natalie's plan that she submitted here, it's a lot of detail, goes step by step on what they plan to do. And then Mike's memo is included with his additions, deletions, tips. One of the biggest recommendations from Mike was to schedule a meeting with him prior to planting to make sure that the property owner was on the same page with what the village requires. And he also looked over the plan and gave his recommendation of approval. Per village ordinance, if 51% of neighbors, basically property owners within 300 feet of the boundary, object, the plan automatically fails. That did not occur. We only had one objection, and there's a list you can see in your packet. I believe there were 7 or 8 neighbors that were notified, and we only had one objection. So it's being brought to the board for approval, and if you approve, that would give Natalie the go-ahead to work with Mike and start her natural lawn management.
I'm gonna just kick off the discussion for the approval of the application.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Is there any discussion from the board?
And per the ordinance, they have to mow it within 10 feet of the abutting neighbor in the street.
Yep, exactly. And they still have to adhere with our weed ordinances. I mean, they can't let it go to weed. There's only certain plants that they can plant. They can't be invasive to the state of Wisconsin. They actually have to terminate all of their turf grass before they can just plant. And by terminate, they either have to burn that or they have to use a chemical. And that was from Mike directly, and I spoke with Natalie, the property owner, and they actually have already terminated and have said that basically if the village didn't approve it, they would just replant the grass, but they wanted to terminate it, so they were ready to plant if they get approved. So it sounds like, and Mike has Natalie's information and Natalie has Mike's contact information, and it sounds like they have a good foundation for a relationship to manage this going forward and make it successful. But Mike did mention multiple times that managing a natural lawn is intensive. I mean, there's a lot of work.
There is another, non-conforming lawn on First Street.
Mm-hmm.
Called the old Ernest House.
Mm-hmm.
Cottage house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They've gone through this process also. Fine, great.
Yeah.
I'd rather see that than old grass that just is environmental.
I will say, for our records, this is the first natural lawn management plan application. So if there has been one, it was much beyond where we kept records.
What he's saying is there's one out there without a permit.
I
know they went through the process. I don't know.
Oh, they do?
This process, but I know that it was discussed at the board.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who
how do you know where the property line is between two houses? Is it the, telephone box or the electrical box, or not necessarily either one?
Could be either one, could be where the lot lines are at. Some people mow over other people's lot lines, and they've always done it for years, and that's how they go, and then they find out later on that, well, my lawn is another 10, 15 feet that way, but.
So the Pets houses, do you think it's halfway between those four houses? Going out, I don't, you know which ones I
If
mean.
you wanna know, you gotta ask.
Pets houses?
If you wanna know, you gotta get a survey. There's nothing in between about it.
But I mean, it seems reasonable to me that the pet houses, they probably spaced, so both, well, you're right, though, not necessarily.
I've been around since Henry Opperman used to say, your garage is on your land, and it turns out it's not on your land.
I've been around longer than that. Back when there wasn't any happy.
Actually,
We actually have something now. Go on, if you look at, they didn't submit all the available GPS,
if you go,
GIS mapping that's available, but.
if you go and ask Mr. Clark to give you a picture
Yes.
of that, he will do that off that GPS thing, and you can line it up with the telephone poles, and you don't have to do a survey.
Well, I would do that for you too,
Well, ultimately, it's gonna depend on the homeowners, whether they take care of it or not, or whether it spreads to the neighborhood, spreads to the street, so.
And Mike is,
There's no way of knowing.
Right.
You know,
and Mike is obviously very aware that this is going from the board tonight and has made it very clear that he will be monitoring it to make sure it is adhering to the village standards for ordinance.
it's not like it's right in town,
Right, it is going on a town.
and the person who did object is the one at the old Skilling station, which is down the road a ways. So they're not even close, but because they have a bed and breakfast, I think that's what she said.
She's
Or
near,
guests.
yeah, she has a vacation rental property, yep. And we use the the Green County tax parcel map to figure out which owners were in the 300-foot boundary of the property line.
Oh.
That's what we use. So some of these property owners, their property barely meets that requirement.
So if the neighbors don't,
I actually had one neighbor call that was very much in favor of it, and then we had one objection, and I didn't listen to her.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consideration discuss resolution 2318, appointing limited term employee lifeguard.
This is a later hire than the rest of the pool staff, so we're just adding one more lifeguard.
Go ahead and approve a LTE for ALJ with.
Well, from what I saw on television, it's pretty darn lucky to be able to have
Yeah,
one.
lifeguard.
Sure, yeah.
yeah, or shortage, so.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item C, consideration discuss resolution 2319 for appointment of full-time police officer.
The resolution I passed out, we just found out today that Brian Bennett has accepted. Chief, I don't know if you want to add anything about him. We're excited.
Yeah, he, called, this afternoon and, told me he wanted to accept the position. I met with him last week on Thursday, and I have been waiting every day for the phone call. I started getting my hopes down, but he called today, so I'm happy because he needs the help.
And fully on board in what, 3 weeks, a month?
He's gonna, once I call him after this, if this has been approved, he's going to turn this 2 weeks at his current job tomorrow with his chief there and anticipating to start on the 22nd.
Was that in Broadhead?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's very similar. I move to approve Brian Bennett, to full-time police
Okay, motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Item D, consideration discussion 2024 budget goals. Lauren?
All right. No. On page 24, I provided a brief memo. So the memo provides goals that were established back in 2018 by the village board. I believe that's the last time we've had goals for the budget. So I included those there just for reference. I figured this would be a good time to update those goals as we, as staff, are beginning to start to work on our 2024 budget. So I drafted 4 goals with some kind of bullet points of possible objectives to go with that. And I just wanted to kind of start the conversation with the village board. If you have thoughts or changes or additions, I'd love to hear that. But the draft 2024 budget goals include the following. Number 1, provide adequate funding for operational and capital needs. So I include several bullet points to kind of objectives that might meet that goal. Number 2 is promote community economic development. Number 3 is recruit and retain excellent village staff. And number 4 is modernize village operations and provide quality public services. So, these are broad overarching goals, but they can kind of help guide as staff are making, budget requests. We can tie those requests to these overarching goals and really show, how we're moving and making progress on those goals. I really think a lot of these kind of objectives under these encompass a lot of the conversations I've been having before with staff on things that we want to start working on in the next several years. Some of these are bigger goals than others. And so I really wanted to try to encompass those into kind of one single plan so that we all are on the same page as to what staff are working on and kind of what some of those budget requests might be next year. So with that, I'll open it up to the board for discussion and thoughts on.
I have a question about the first goal, the first highlighted. Develop and implement a 5-year capital improvement plan. As you all know, currently the library board does not have property, so it's hard to say it's to put it in a 5-year plan when we can't find any place for it. But say in 2 years, if the property opened up, could it then be put in to that 5-year plan, or would it have to wait?
Yes, so how CIPs work is every year we'll be updating it. So this year we'll do a 2024 to 2028. And then next year we'll update that again. So if the library, you have an idea of what year you would fund it, we would add it in. If you're not sure, we could put in some other projects and then, kind of shuffle things around if you had a better idea. The library is one where I've kind of struggled on how to slot that into the 5-year plan because it is kind of hard to know when that's going to happen. But the plan is really a great way for staff to start collecting. These are all the projects we want to do. And if one, works for this year, then we'll slot it in. But then we also have a list of projects where grant funding comes up in the future. We can just apply for that grant. We already have a project ready to go for that. So it's really a great way to just kind of consolidate all of the things we know we want to do and kind of get a game plan going. But again, it's not solid in stone by any means. It's just a way for us to, plan financially.
Priorities to switch.
Yep.
Based on grants.
I'm concerned that, if you don't put the library in, I think it's a chicken and egg problem. Much of their, I'm not sure, since I wasn't doing any negotiating with the church, but, from the outside, there were things that if they'd known what the size of the building was gonna be, they could have made a better presentation. I don't know that would have been persuasive. But I think, if you're building a 4,000 square foot building, well, then just buy 2 lots in town. If that's not the right number, then it's awfully hard for them to figure out what it is that they need. And, the obvious, criticism of the process to date is we ain't got it done. And I would just assume that we have that discussion and decide what it is. It's a lot easier to say you're on the agenda or on the, in the plan, in the 5-year plan, than it is to try and break into the 5-year plan. I mean, look at how long it takes these guys to plan stuff, right? I mean, we're not talking about putting up a stop sign, right? I mean, they've got plans to just take the water tower, for example. How long is that gonna take? And what's the impact of that gonna be, you know, in terms of development, et cetera? So I'll make that argument that we ought to be having that discussion.
Yeah, and I have no plans to take it out necessarily. I've just been struggling on what year to put it in and how we plan the other projects around that. And I think that will be probably a conversation with the village.
I'm happy to hear your struggle.
Just
What I mean, you're thinking.
add a little more information. I'm just on the library board and I've only been to 2 meetings. But the initial plan Linda Highland said was they wanted 2 acres. That was their goal. So there'd be room for expansion and parking. So that's it, what they're looking for now. Square feet, well, I think their starting point was about 16,000 square feet. And the current one is about 2,000 square feet.
May I,
So that's just kind of.
entertain you with a story about how my architect said we had to build a bank? So we could expand it.
I think we're getting off subject here.
And I said, no, we're gonna be, well, it's been 20 years and it's the same size. I mean, this whole business about you can't build unless it's doubling up is a suicidal argument. I know a lot of people who've done it, who've overbuilt and paid a terrible price for it. Some here in town, some of our golf course almost failed because they built way bigger than they ever had, and now they're wondering about how they get rid of half. And churches, I mean, it just goes down the list. You start talking too much about what might happen in the future, and you blow off the present.
I think you were talking specifics, but we're talking generalities here with Lauren's goals.
You're correct.
This is not the time to discuss the square footages of the library or the acreages. I think we're talking generalities here, and part of the capital improvement plan would include the potential for a library, but I don't think we need to get
Agreed.
into specifics.
I was just,
I mean, we've been dealing with this for 20 years, with no avail. So anyway, I think
Good luck.
it's great plan. I think all the way through. I think all the
Yeah.
roles are just exactly what we choose to do, and we should go ahead with it. I don't know what you're looking for.
Are you looking for a motion?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
discussion?
I was going to do.
They're gonna move, in a second. Now you wanna talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
So under the previous plan, number 3 was leverage village financial assets. What do you think that meant?
So
Because I noticed you didn't repeat it.
I did it because I kind of there were a few objectives under there that I thought were better consolidated in some of the other goals. So I think I moved the identify, pursue, the last plan also had pursue potential grant opportunities and joint partnerships. I believe that was in that,
Okay.
and
Okay.
so, yeah, I was just
Okay,
kind of consolidating. I didn't totally understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so one other thing, under number 3, I've been intrigued with, the fact that the New Glarus Fire District Board has a policy manual of some considerable, we do not, do we have a policy manual?
We do have a personnel handbook.
That's not the same.
I,
This is in great detail, operational, all kinds of stuff is in here beside, there's a section obviously on personnel.
yeah,
I'm assuming the league has got
yeah, there's
a
lots of.
whole library of that, but I thought that might be an interesting addition to your list as a policy manual.
Can certainly look at it.
So we don't forget stuff from one generation to the next.
Sure.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Does that include the nothing was in the thing about the policy manual, is that, we can consider that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, discussion and consideration scheduled trustee orientation.
This is mine as well. So, I put together a orientation presentation for new trustees. But I wanted to bring it to the whole board because I think a lot of the information in the presentation might be helpful to all of you, so I wanted to invite you all. So I'm just hoping to just talk about when we could possibly get together to, I think it might take an hour. So I just wanted to find a time that would work for the board to possibly hold an orientation for those who are new and also interested if we're not. Their day, the next couple weeks, we could also go before a meeting.
I prefer going on the same night as a meeting myself, so.
Like
It's all
before,
fixed in one night, then
yeah, before
my
meeting.
preference.
Okay, so maybe the next board meeting,
How,
I'll be welcome here.
how long do you think it'll be, like a half hour?
I think it'll probably be closer to 45
Minutes?
minutes
Okay,
to an
okay.
hour,
All right.
depending on
And
questions.
if Michael can't be here, so he's on tape, I mean,
Yep, I can provide the presentation.
yeah.
We can also find a meeting in July if that works better. So I don't wanna. include anyone.
But we have a long agenda. I mean, I know I have a lot coming for you, so
Okay,
it might be better not.
I
to
think
do
it'd be
that.
better to have it before the first meeting, because it's usually,
Yeah.
first meetings are short.
Oh, that's a good, yeah.
okay. So July 5th would be that meeting. We have finance personnel at 6:30. You wanna do it at 5:30? That's too long of a night for people?
I'm okay with it.
If the agenda is short, I don't see why it would be a problem. Unless people are traveling on the 5th, I mean, it is July 4th, I don't know if that. is a problem. We could shoot for that and
Okay.
see what happens. So that would be July 6th, we start at
5:30.
5:30.
Okay, I'll schedule that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
No, 5:30.
Okay, Parks and Rec, you got anything, Chuck?
I don't think there will be like a lot.
Nope.
Okay, Public Works, and Public Safety, Titan,
I got a
nothing?
meeting on.
Okay. Personal and Finance, nothing, President's Report. Nothing. Okay, announcement. The village board will adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 1985-1, delivering or negotiating the investment of public funds or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session considering employment, promotion, compensation, for performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercising responsibility requiring a closed session and may reconvene to open session pursuant to state statute 1895-1. Personnel matter. This one never used to be this long. Are you adding something?
I wonder if it got, no, it's always been.
Okay.
Oh, it has.
Yeah, it has.
Okay, we need a vote to go.
We need a motion.
Motion.
Make a motion.
Okay, okay, roll call.
Michael
Can I
Bell?
ask a question? Just, I should have asked this before. So item 11, does that pertain to item 10?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just. Should have probably said in.
Sure. Yeah,
Closed
probably.
section, okay, just to be
To
clear.
be clear on that.
Okay.
We'll make sure that's happening.
Alright.
Okay, Michael Bell.
Yes.
Peggy Cruz. Chuck Phillipson.
Yes.
Scott Thompson. Larry Siggy.
Aye.
Brenda Trump.
Okay, we are closed. So